Just flew in.
The Jadvion Clowney kind of questionable return. Is Raquan Davis, defensive lineman from Alabama, on your draft board?
Everybody's on the draft board right now. It's so early, we're just getting started.
I talked to Shaquille Griffin at the Pro Bowl, and he says he has some big expectations for the defense in 2020. What are your thoughts on what that unit can do in 2020?
Well, we're expecting to improve in some really critical areas. Pass rush is something that we're really focusing on. We really liked the way we turned the ball over last year. We got the ball a lot, made some nice plays and stuff that gave us a chance. But we need to do some things more consistently, and that's rush the passer. That isn't just the guys up front. That's the whole connection between how we cover them down and how we make them hold the football and all of that. But it'll be a big focus for us.
How's Rashad Penny doing?
All reports talking to him, he feels good. He's ahead of schedule, as we always tell you. He is. He's working with our guys down in L.A. that we feel very strongly about that process. He's down there with Disley working out, and he's really optimistic about roaring back. So he's an incredibly fit guy. So we'll see if that can all work out for us in quick fashion.
Sorry, since it just happened in December, is it unrealistic he'd be ready for the start of the year?
It'll be an extraordinary accomplishment if he was ready by the time we got to camp and all that. So we'll just see what happens. We're not going to set any deadline on it. We'll just see how he develops. But this is the kind of timing that might take you into the PUP thing.
Coach, DK Metcalf surprised a lot of people with his performance this year. What can he improve on? What is the main thing?
He needs to help you with your expectations. There's a number of ways that he'll get better. He's a really diligent worker, and because of that, he's already made, as most of us have seen, consistent progress through the season. He'll come back, I would think, with a new level of confidence after getting through the year and having a good, successful rookie season and all that. Consistency, taking advantage of his opportunities with the matchups that he has and the calls that we have, really getting more opportunity to build the chemistry with Russ that's so important. Just a little fine-tuning stuff. He's got such a great example to work with, with Tyler, showing him all of the ins and outs of all of the stuff it is to work with Russell and understand that. So it's just a big ascent he's on, and we're really excited about that.
You've had a little time to reflect on just how do you kind of view last season and feel about this team going into 2020?
Well, I think we were ahead of you guys all year with the thought that we could do something with this season, this past one. And so we come out of it with, I think, a better understanding and maybe clearer expectations collectively that we can do something really special. We have some stuff we've got to do, as we always do at the end of the year. We got things we got to get done. But we have the nucleus for a really good club, and it's a really positive outlook that we have. The players feel like that, the coaches feel like that, and I hope our fans do as well, that there's a lot that we can do. We could make games a little easier on ourselves this year. Everything we went through is about as challenging as it could make it. And, with just a couple inches here and there, things could have been a little bit different. So we're very close to being a really tough club to deal with, and we're going to set our expectations really high.
Coach, what was it about DK that made him able to succeed at a position where there's usually more of a learning curve? Was it him as a player, or the scheming, or how you use it?
Well, he's an incredible athlete and all that, which is just kind of the staple of it. But his mentality, his ability to learn, his natural athleticism, he could make things look right from the start. He doesn't have to do things a lot of times to get it right. But I think more his mentality and his attitude about attacking the opportunity and going for it, staying out late, coming out early, trying to do it again. Give me some more information. What can I do here? What can I do there? Wanting to be a part of all phases. You want to be all over the special teams unit. We had to keep holding him out of that stuff. It's his mentality that I think probably would surprise people that didn't see how highly regarded he should have been. I don't think they knew that about him. He had limited production as a senior coming up, and his last year coming up, and I just think that people missed the fact that he had this makeup. We learned a lot about him too. I got to admit, we couldn't have seen him this special in terms of that, and there's nothing more important than that for a young guy. To go along with, he's a natural athlete. He can make things look exactly like it's supposed to look, and so. There's really just no limits on him. And the really exciting thing about him is he realizes that, and he's going for it. And so we'll see him apply himself again all over and hopefully the getting through this season and this summer will allow him to really be in a great frame of mind so he can take off from here.
How much are you looking forward to working with Greg Olson?
Yeah, really looking forward to Greg. We spent some time together here through this process, and I was with him yesterday again when he was signing up, and he can't help but make an impression about his smarts and his awareness and his resolve to be great and to do something great and be a part of something. I can't imagine, and Russ has already seen this. They've communicated and been together in a couple different things. That they connect on a very high level about going forward and practicing and the plan and the concepts and the meaning of what it takes to get the work done. I mean, he's just on a high level, and so we're very fortunate to have him. I think he'll make a very fast transition. He and Russ will work over the summertime, in the springtime here, and in the summertime that comes up, they'll be together often. And I don't think there's any ceiling we should put on their ability to get together. I'm really excited about that.
You've seen him so many times over the years. Was that a kind of easy evaluation? For
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah, we've played against him and tried to stop him for years, and he's been trying to beat us for years too. So there's a real commonality that we've developed, and through the competition, that was it was fun to talk about and to learn from each other, and so we do feel like we're a lot closer than maybe we should be for other reasons.
Concerned with his recent injury history and age?
No, he had a foot injury. He had that. He's had a very clean process to get to this point. He had one foot injury that kind of turned into another kind of a related thing on his foot, but other than that, it's really focused. He did have a concussion last year, missed a couple weeks, but he came back and played, and so he's in pretty darn good shape right now for all of the years he's played.
Can he and Will be a pretty special tandem?
No, I don't think there's any question. Will Dissly's a really good football player. We've loved everything that he's done. He just hasn't had enough time to really stack up numbers and all that. But there's no doubt that Will can play the game at the line of scrimmage and downfield and catching and running. He's done all of that. He's a marvelous kid and competitor, and also he was thrilled to hear that Greg was coming for obvious reasons, because he wants to be great and he wants to learn how he can learn from Greg. So they'll both play on the field at the same time, I'm sure, and it'll be exciting to see that happen.
What do you think about Will giving up his number for Greg?
First class.
Coach, Marshawn Lynch's second time around here, though brief, what was his impact that he made on the younger weapons on the field?
Well, unfortunately, those guys weren't there. By the time he got to us, they're all done. But Marshawn made an exceptional impression coming back. Starting with me, he worked really hard to get to the point where he had a chance to be available, and how he held on to that thought that maybe he could play here late in the season. He reported in good shape. He performed well, scored 4 touchdowns in the last few games. Did a great job for us, just picking things up and showing how what it takes to focus and be available and all of that. He was gracious and great to all the young guys. It didn't matter how old you were. He was just good to everybody. I just thought he did an extraordinary job of coming back. Well, we'll see. We never know. I'm not going to rush him back to offseason, that's for sure. It's never been one of his strengths.
Wasn't that long ago that the Niners were 2-14? What has either struck you or impressed you about the way they've rebuilt?
They've drafted really well. They've got a lot of guys, and John noticed it a couple years back that they were starting to build up the numbers, even though the record didn't show it. Just looking at the guys coming through the ranks, and so they have a very good roster. The quarterback, Jimmy really made a big impact on solidifying the whole style of their team. I don't think Kyle could have done a better job in turning this thing. I think he did a fantastic job, leaving a mark on his style and the way he does things was obvious. Their offense was really emblematic of all of the years that he's been a coordinator and calling plays. Thought he did a fantastic job. But I think it's the accumulation, and they had to pay the price for that. It took them a while to get it done, but they did choose their players well. They put together a really good defensive group, particularly the guys that they put together up front. That's a tough group to deal with, and I think John Lynch has done a great job just keeping the whole thing in order moving forward, not getting distracted by the lack of success they had, and also showing that they didn't get distracted by the success they had, which is just as likely a problem. And so very impressive group. As we've seen in our division, we've been through some cycles here already, and kind of the cycles have kind of come and gone. Well, it's a very, very tough division again, and there's no doubt about it. No, I don't think anybody wants to play us, and so it'll make us better. And really, nothing but compliments for what they've accomplished.
Pete, when you think back to last year's combine, do you remember leaving here with a distinct impression about DK Metcalf? And
Yes.
saying,
Yes. Coming out here, I don't think there's anybody that would make me take my shirt off. No, I mean, no, he couldn't have been more impressive. And through our process, we just didn't see the negatives that other people saw. And so we were very fortunate that he was there when we had our op, and it was a really extraordinary moment when he was still there when we picked him. We thought that should never have happened, and he did everything to make it worthwhile, make it work, and very proud of the whole thing. He looks good. I've seen him a number of times, coming through the building, and all his attitude and his I know I'm hearing from the work ethic that he's putting forth is exactly what we would hope for right now. He's doing great. So he is going to come roaring back from this surgery.
Had some struggles in year 2, comes back, makes the Pro Bowl for the first time. What does Trey Flowers need to do going from year 2 to year 3 to have a similar jump?
Well, there was a significant shift in the Griffin boys about how they went about their offseason. And they decided that they were going to really dig in, and they adjusted their diet. The whole nutritional approach was different. Their work ethic was different. Their focus. And if we can only imagine how much interference occurred after that last draft when Shaq came in, when Griff came in, and the two of them were just the toast of the town everywhere they went, and it was hard to. It would have been hard for anybody to handle that properly and to maximize the hard work and the dedication. They did the best they could. This next year, now they had a chance to focus. Things settled down quite a bit. They got a handle on how things were coming at them, and they just the two of them put together a great offseason. And it just showed up from the day they appeared all the way through the early part of the season, middle of the season. Shaq just kept rolling, and he had a fantastic year. So back to Trey, that shift in focus for them couldn't have been more obvious in the results that it turned up. I would think that that's what we're counting on from Trey. Trey's a hard-working kid. He wants to get it done. I thought he was pretty much same 1 year, 2 years. Now this is a good chance for him to really make a jump. There's no reason that he shouldn't. With the experience that he's had, all the playtime that he's gathered in, he should be ready to make a good step forward.
Going back to Shaquem, just what did you see from him that role late in the season?
It was worthwhile doing. He did show us some stuff. He showed us his speed, and he's got the motor that you like to see in pass rushers, particularly on the edge. It's a challenge for him. He rushed most of the year about 213. And there's not many guys doing that. So he had to be speed oriented, which he was. He helped us. But we need more help, and we need to do better than that, and he'll need to add to that too. He'll get another chance to be right in there again. We'll see how that develops.
Okay, what are the challenges of building a successful roster when quarterback money has ballooned the way it has the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good observation. It is a challenge. Yeah, it affects you first in free agency, with a chance to be real active this early part of the free agency period is a real challenge. You have to do really well with all of your picks, and we always try to get as many as we can because we feel like we can get that the competitiveness in our camp will help us. And then you have to make really wise decisions along the way, and there's really, really tough decisions that you have to make because every single step of the way you're up against the numbers. And so, it's just something John's great at, and he's done a marvelous job of. It's hard to stay up. It's hard to stay up. The league, everything is designed to knock you back down and let the teams, work their way up, and that's how it's always been. So we take great pride in staying on that top, level of the thing, with all of the circumstances that we deal with. And we got Bobby and Russell, two the highest paid guys at their positions. They deserve it. They're worthy of it. They played like it again. We couldn't be more thrilled about that decision because they're the two guys that lead our football team, lead our franchise. So, but it causes challenges, and you have to hit right in free agency and all aspects of free agency, and we have to do a really good job at every opportunity when players become available, and even to go down to the 53 cut and all of that. Every single step of the way we have to be on it to keep fortifying the competitiveness on the roster. So, and fortunately, I got a great partner in John doing that.
Coach, do you think receivers are hitting the league in general ready to perform sooner, or do you think DK was like an outlier?
No, I think guys been coming. We've seen a lot of guys that do struggle as they transition, and part of that is a real big part of that is where they come from and the style of offense that they run. They're not as ready as they need to be for the things that we ask guys to do. Guys line up on the left side, they never get in the huddle, and they run. They have a handful of routes, and that's particularly the natural athletes that come in with such gifts. It's sometimes they're not as tuned into the discipline that it takes to be where the quarterback needs you to be, so that we can play you and throw the ball to you and get good results. So I think the guys are more apt to be ready now in general because they get the ball thrown so much. They've been throwing and catching in 7-on-7s their whole life and all of that. But there is a whole nother level to it that sometimes catches guys, and it just depends. DK was one of those guys that was not a factor, and obviously a lot of people around here didn't realize that was not a factor, and he was able to make an easy transition. This is an interesting draft for receivers, and it's going to be fascinating to see if we can uncover the guys that can make the quick transition and the guys that are going to take a couple years. We'll try to resolve that through the process, but it's certainly going to be fun to watch.
If you wind up with 40, 48 game day players instead of 46, how much of a difference could that make?
Every step of the way that helps. If it's 48 and that's where it is, it's going to help. It should help us keep guys more healthy, rep guys a little bit differently. Every one of those numbers affects a number of guys and who has to contribute on special teams and the rest. So 1,000% for whatever we can do to get more guys available to us, and it'll help. It'll be, it's relative. Everybody's got the same advantage, but it's going to be good for the guys, and it'll get a couple guys a little bit more playing time than they would have had otherwise, and that's worthwhile.
You got a lot of good film on Jamarco Jones at the guard spot, naturally a tackle. What's the game plan for him moving into 2020?
Appreciate the action, Green. Jamarco did a nice job for us. He really did. He surprised us a little bit that he would be so comfortable playing guard, particularly on the right side, because he'd been a left side guy and a left tackle for most of his playing time. Mike Solari always said he was a really savvy football player, and the game, made sense to him, and he could, just assimilate our stuff from his old stuff and make sense to look good and responsible about his position right from the beginning. So I guess we should have realized that he could make that transition and do it better, but he really did surprise us, unfortunately. We're counting on him to be very versatile and very much a part of the competition to be, for all the playtime. He's worthy of that, and he deserves that shot. He's got to get well. He's got a little shoulder work that he had done. He's got to come back strong from that, which he's working on all the way and should. But exciting is an exciting start for him.
How is Chris Carson doing?
Chris is doing really well. There's not a whole lot Chris can do, so he hasn't done very many things wrong. So it's a injury that it takes time, and it's not really, it's serious because it's a hip, but it's not serious in that we know what's going to happen. It's not displaced or any of that kind of stuff. We just need to wait it out, and which is really hard for Chris because he's a workout maniac and loves to be on in the weight room and all that. He's doing the best he can, and he's done everything he can possibly do, and we're just hoping he doesn't overdo it. So we're trying to monitor that, but we're counting on a full recovery. He should be ready to go.
It wasn't mean to you when you hear that free agents and people like that want to be in Seattle because of the program and culture you guys have.
Well, no, I like hearing that, sure, and that's not why we do what we do, but it is a byproduct of it, and it's not something that we haven't heard before. This is a good place to come to. It's a place where the players receive these guys really well and openly. They understand how valuable the new guys that come in, whether they're the young guys or the older guys. That's just part of the mentality, but I think it's a real positive, and I don't know what Greg has said so far, but I know he was thrilled about being part of this, and we do get a lot of calls from guys that send the word in. I'd like to go there, I'd like to be there, and so we have to field that and do the best we can with it. There's nothing more we'd like to hear than trying. The guys want to come play on a winning football team. Our leaders, Russell and Bobby and KJ and Dwayne Brown and those guys that kind of are the guys that guys call. Are extraordinary Seahawks, and they're just symbols in the community, and all of that goes along with supporting the way we practice and play and handle our people and deal with everybody. It's all very positive. It's really important for us to convey the message that we're here to help these guys be the best they've ever been, and that's not just a statement. That's an absolute lifestyle and commitment about always competing, and that's how we do it. And so when you do that, you have to take care of the individuals and understand who they are and relate to them on a high level so that we can make sense to one another. And all of that is kind of what they feel as they get around us. And then we're having a good time, and we've won enough that it all that fits together. So, so that's what I got to say to the free agents. Appreciate it.
When you're building your draft board, how do you think about risk? Like when you might go on take a risk kind of guy, and when how do you just think?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we're very competitive about the way we look at our stuff, in that we'll look deeply into our ability to assess guys, and the uniqueness that John and his guys bring. They have a long-term group. They've been together. They understand one another, and they can figure out, and I think ferret out the issues as well as anybody. Then the risk taking comes in. Well, okay, if we get this guy, can we do this with him? And we may be guilty of being a little optimistic at times, that we've always, thought that we can help guys out and we can maybe reach them and get to them. So we do take chances on some players at times, but it's always with the thought that they're going to be great and that we're going to help them, not just find their greatness, but maintain it, And so guys come in all sizes and shapes and packages, and they don't all fit in the profile, and some that's we have to figure out those guys that aren't in the profile. Sometimes the guy's so big and so fast, you don't know what to do with him, so you don't draft a wide receiver like DK. He was like too big, too fast almost. They couldn't figure it out, and so. One regard, that's as good an example of taking a risk on a guy as anybody. But anyway, so we kind of look forward to it and try to figure out that puzzle, and with great communication, we try to figure those decisions out. We're not afraid at all of taking shots. No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.